Question number 1 comes from Cora, and it's asking, how do you recruit for a startup team?
That's a great question. We're doing that currently here right now. In fact, it's interesting to see Blake gone. You notice I've been gone more than Blake, actually raising capital. We just closed our $2 million seed round for Engine for some really good e-commerce savvy investors. And so we're in the process of doing the same thing. We're a team of 5 right now, have 6 open positions now. Mm-hmm. Everything from a C-level operations person to 4 engineers to basically an outreach consultant, how to talk to other developers about what we're building and get their feedback. So it's pretty neat to do it. And I've done this before. So the first few hires of a startup team are the most important. Once you hit about 5 to 12 people, you've really set the DNA of the culture of the company for a long time. And as I look back on our last company, we did that really, really well. I mean, the 5 people that were the founding team at Acumen were 5 of the best people. They all had upward skills, and they all ended up managing teams of 20 to 30 to 40 at some point when we hit our peak of success. And that's really strange to find that. But so what we did, we had 5 great people, and then as we moved to 12, which is the phase we're in right now here at Engine, A's attract A's. So we had 5 A players, and then as you got 5 more and 7 more, they were also A's, and we did that really well. It was really easy to communicate the culture at that point. I don't know that we even necessarily did it, but from 12 to 30 was likewise the same. We fired our first couple people at about 30, and they were not bad employees. They just weren't A players. They were not. They weren't driven by the same things we were. They were good employees. They would clock in at 9 o'clock, and you couldn't say anything bad about them from 9 to 5, and then they would be out the door at 5 o'clock. They didn't have the passion. They didn't have the drive. They didn't have the love for what we were building like the others. So, we weeded out some mediocre people at that point. People that probably wouldn't have been fired from any other job. And where we started to mess that up was right after we figured out the Facebook strategy. So we grew too quickly. So we grew from probably $1.5 million of revenue on this one business to over $100 million annual run rate. And we did that in like 4 or 5 months. So we went from 30 to 50 people fairly rationally, and then from 50 to 250 people unrationally. Can you fog this mirror? Yes. And so we hired based off resumes rather than off passion and shared love of what we were building. And boy, we suffered from it. Yeah. The first 5 people in a startup have to be athletes. They have to be able to play multiple roles. They have to be infinitely flexible. You're not hiring for a position in those first 5 usually, other than engineers, obviously. I mean, you don't want your engineers necessarily running around doing
programmers sweeping the floors.
Exactly. And as you get up to about 30 people, you start to hire specialists, and that's a big switch. And we did that one well, but at the end, when you're hiring all specialists, and we thought we needed grown-ups in the room, and you're hiring 40-year-old people with 20-year resumes in that field, they came in with preconceived notions of how to do things, and they were often wrong. So that's how you start.
Yeah, and I think what's super interesting is when it comes to, so like last night at 11:30, we're communicating and talking. The first couple people that you bring into a business, like you said, they have to be driven, they have to be passionate, and they have to have a common goal. Something that was said, so we had our first board meeting yesterday, and something that I couldn't get out of my head that one of our investors said was that you have to think of your company, especially starting off, you got to think of it as a sports team, and your family, and you love each other and you care about each other, but the best players play. And I think that when you're recruiting talent, you need to recruit on culture first, and then you need to recruit on is this person willing to put in the work to be the best. And what I mean by that is that if you came to me and said, hey, we're going to bring on another marketer, or we're going to bring on X amount of person, whoever that is, you have 1 of 2 people. You have the person who gets excited because it's competition, and then you have the person who gets afraid and starts acting out of fear. and you want to hire people in the beginning who are competitive. You want to hire people who want to be the best, and they're not afraid to flex that muscle every once in a while.
No, you're right. I mean what I say. The first 5 people set the DNA. It's really entrenched by the time you get to 12 people. So you've got to be really careful with those. I don't mean your hourly employees that aren't doing things. The people that are really core to your team and building stuff. So.
Yeah.